Hello, guys. So today we are back out here with Alfie. Don't know whether you can see him there, but obviously you haven't seen Alfie for a while because I've been out with Charles and Rich. But he's back on the job being a guitar influencer. So yeah, send your love to Alfie in the chat, and he'll appreciate it. But today I had quite a few topics on my mind. Some of them I wasn't sure whether I totally formulated my opinion on the matters. So I've decided to talk about technique today and why I don't work on my technique, essentially. So I was chatting to this with David Beebe the other day. We've got a stream coming up, so I'll keep you informed on that. But first of all, I want to clarify what I mean by technique. Because obviously, any aspect of guitar playing, there's going to be an element of technique involved. Whether that be the touch of one note, which is something that I continue to develop, and I'll work on it for the rest of my time. Obviously, tempo and time, there's a lot of technique involved in that. And again, that's something that I continue to work on. String muting, especially when comping. This is something, again, that I constantly think about. So when I'm talking about technique, I'm specifically referring to essentially playing fast and ways to play fast. So whether that be alternate picking, legato, sweep picking, or any variation on those techniques such as tapping, selective picking, even good old Marshall Harrison's Swibrid technique and all these kind of techniques. So this is what I'm referring to when I talk about technique. So, and for every player, it's going to be very different depending on your priorities and where you are in your development. So when I started the guitar, I worked very much on technical exercises. And I think that these were important when you start guitar to kind of get a basic understanding of the instrument. I think that these are important. But I think I did that for a little bit too long. And it kind of took away from other focuses, like developing language. So when I was in my 20s, I was lucky enough to play with some wonderful players. And we would all be jamming and playing together. And it would get to a point where I had to take my solo after some absolute monsters had just ripped it up. And it occurred to me that I could play as fast as them, maybe even faster in many cases. But it wasn't the speed that was what was impressive about their playing. It was about what they were able to do at speed and how they could develop their lines and take you on a journey. Yeah, and this is what I realized I wasn't very good at. Okay, I had the fast lick, but when that lick was over, it's like, how much had I actually said by playing that lick? And I kind of thought that I said very little by playing that. So at that point, I kind of thought, right, well, it's not the technique that I'm missing. It's the language and my harmonic vocabulary. So from then on, I just decided to use the technique that I had, which was essentially some kind of combination of legato and sweeping techniques. And I just used this and tried to use it to the best of my ability. And yeah, tried to see how far I could take that technique. And I think this is evident with a master like Allan Holdsworth, because Alan, in many ways, was very limited technically, in the sense that he just played with legato technique. Obviously, you would use a little bit of hybrid picking here and there, a little bit of alternate picking. But essentially, he was primarily a legato-based guitar player. But the extent to which he was able to use this technique was absolutely unbelievable. And that is what we're all blown away by with Alan Holdsworth. But say you take a player such as Shawn Lane, and obviously he was able to play things in many different ways. He could alternate pick things, he could sweep them, he could, do them with a legato technique, he could do it in any way possible. However, a huge amount of his time as a guitarist, which was obviously tragically cut short, was spent developing that technique. And that's great if you want that to be your focus. But I think Holdsworth was able to take his ideas further, even though he was more limited in the options that he had to achieve them. And this is more what I focus on, rather than, endlessly working on my endlessly working on technique like alternate picking and all this stuff. I don't really care about it anymore. I just want to make the most out of what I've got. And as I say, this is all very personal. It very much depends on what you want to achieve as a guitarist. And, if you're maybe in the modern metal scene or this kind of more rocky fusion kind of stuff, then maybe you want to focus more on purely building your chops and everything. But for me, I don't care about that. I just care about trying to use what I've got to the best of my ability. So when I hear players like David VD or like Tom Quayle, I listen to their technique. Where's your ball, boy? And I see it as far superior to mine. I think it is. But and it's very flattering when a player would turn around and say, "No, you've got great technique." But I really wouldn't say that I do. I've got very basic technique. I've got the technique that I developed when I was younger. It's the way that I use the technique, which I've worked hard on, not the technique itself. And obviously I'll run into issues sometimes. Maybe I'm playing a jazz head, a bebop head, and there's something that I find technically challenging, and I'll look for a way around it. Very occasionally, there's no way around it, and I have to just settle by, faking something or something, trying to find some cheat method to do it to the best of my ability. I also try and avoid hybrid picking, not because I have anything against hybrid picking. When I do it, I just don't like the difference in sound between the finger and the plectrum. It's not that I can't hybrid pick. These are the kind of techniques that I'll use if I need to, if I'm trying to play a bebop head and I can't get through it, I may have to settle on hybrid picking something. I don't think it matters so much if you're using thinner gauge strings, like 10s or 9s or something. But when you're playing on slightly thicker strings, you can really hear the tonal difference between the picked note and the note coming from your finger. And I don't like that contrast when I do it. I love hearing other people do it. But yeah, these are all the things that I consider when I'm thinking about my technique. I'm not just thinking about trying to build speed for speed's sake. It's about more about how it sounds and what I'm playing and what I'm saying when I'm playing. Am I going on a journey through my solo, or does my line just finish and say nothing? So this is kind of what I focus on with my technique nowadays. Yeah, I just focus on taking it for granted, essentially, and using it to the best of my ability. And I think it will come to a point for all players where they have to make that decision. As I say, technical exercises are great when you start out to develop some foundation, but it gets to a point where they can kind of take over and get in the way of actually focusing on language. So, and that would be a wonderful way of developing your technique. As soon as possible, try and develop your technique while developing language that you're actually going to actively use in your playing, whether that be a concept like groupings, or even just if you're more of a traditional jazz player and you want to learn lots of licks and use those in your solos, which I think's a wonderful way of doing it too. Yeah, that's also a great thing. Building speed on melodic phrases, shall we call them? So yeah, that's my thoughts on technique. I just think with the whole Instagram thing, this whole Instagram kind of world we live in nowadays, people will see some 5-second kind of shreddy clip or something. And okay, that's great. And it's cool that people get impressed by this stuff. But is it really saying much musically? I would argue that it's not really. And I don't think it's, no matter how many views it gets, how much impact is it having in the world musically? And I would say very little when you compare it to the likes of Holdsworth, as we were saying before, who you could say was more technically limited than many of these players. But, what he was able to say was next level. So, anyway, there are my thoughts on technique. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. It's quite steep steps, these. Take it out of you. Me and Alfie are going to go for some food now. But in other news, I've been working hard on trying to set up a reaction kind of YouTube set at home. So I've got the pink LEDs. I've got some fancy light. Got a new computer and stuff because my other one was breaking. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to try and get into. Obviously, I'm a big fan of 𝐶𝐶, and I was planning on doing reaction videos before, but he was talking about the benefits of doing them the other day on one of his videos, so I thought it'd be worth giving it a go and just reacting to some great jazz and fusion music. I don't want to talk down on any other guitar players, or I don't think I could get away with that, to be honest, because 𝐶𝐶 kind of pretends to be the snob, so it's not genuinely from the bottom of his heart, so you can kind of get away with it, whereas with me, I think I could get myself into some trouble. So we'll avoid that, but we'll be reacting to some wonderful music and some stuff that really inspires me. So yeah, maybe I'll put a photo up of the set that I've built, and you can check it out on my posts on the YouTube. So we'll be getting into that soon. So yeah, look out for that. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go and look for Alfie now. Here he is. Come on, boy. And we're gonna go for some food. and have a wonderful week. And I'll be back very shortly for another video. Take care, guys.